So I think it would be very easy to make a video where I am dogging the new Swatch Blancpain collaboration. There are tons of videos already on YouTube from tons of different YouTubers that I actually respect and like, giving this a very bad rap. And they're basing this on a past experience with the Moon Swatch. They didn't actually have these watches in for review. So they're making these decisions based on the fact that the Moon Swatch was sort of a debacle. And yes, it was a debacle. Obviously, there were tons of people queuing up and they only had about 50 watches. In particular, where I went in New York City, there were about 500 people online, only 50 watches. And then of course, they promised to sell these online and never did. There is also problems with the Moon Swatch in general. It's a $260 watch that I think should cost around $150. It's not a bad looking watch, it's just not a $260 watch. The quality really isn't there. However, I have to say, I am very pleasantly surprised by this new collaboration with Blancpain. Swatch have actually stepped up the game on this watch. Yes, it is more expensive, but you are getting far more watch than you did with the Moon Swatch. This video, what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about the good, we're gonna talk about the bad, and then we're gonna talk about the ugly. I'm also gonna talk about the fact that a lot of people are calling this a money grab. And I'm gonna get back to that towards the end of the video because I do have some really strong opinions on that subject. So I'm gonna get right into it. I'm gonna talk about the good. There is a lot of good about this watch. Whether you want to believe it or not, this is actually a little bit of a step up, or maybe a big step up from that original Moon Swatch. And there's a number of reasons I am saying that. Number one, starting from the strap on this watch is actually soft. It feels like a very nice NATO strap. Yes, the hardware on here is made out of bioceramic. However, the NATO strap itself is comfortable, it's pliable, and it looks good. I don't personally like the colors that they have chosen. However, it is a nice strap. I personally don't like NATO straps at all, so I would probably put this on a single pass-through NATO or maybe a really nice rubber strap. I think this watch would look great on a rubber strap. Number two, the case back actually snaps off. So this has a snap-on, snap-off case back, and you are getting a sapphire crystal on the back. The reason why they're putting a sapphire crystal on here is because they have a NATO strap on the back. So of course, since there is a NATO strap, that will be rubbing against the glass. They've put a sapphire crystal on there so it does not scratch. But that snap-on case back means one other thing. You're going to be able to actually swap out this movement. There are some companies that actually will service this movement, and that movement, of course, is the SISTEM 51. So that means this is not a throwaway watch like other SISTEM 51s, which are hermetically sealed. This is not. This is actually a watch that you can pop the case back off of. So if you do need to replace parts, it can be done. Now, it does have a snap-on case back. It does not have a screwed-in crown. However, you are getting 91 meters of water resistance. So that's actually another step up from what you got with the Moon Swatch. The Moon Swatch did not have a lot of water resistance, or does not have a lot of water resistance, so that's definitely something to be mentioned. Also, you are getting drilled lugs on this watch. They're giving you drilled lugs because I think they expect people to change the strap on this watch, which is very interesting because you did not get that on the Moon Swatch. Yet another upgrade. You may or may not like the case of the 50 Fathoms. However, this is essentially built from the mold of the current 50 Fathoms. However, this is in 42 millimeters, not in 45 millimeters. This means that it actually wears better than the 50 Fathoms. There are other versions of the 50 Fathoms in 42 millimeters. However, those are usually limited editions. So if you want a 42 millimeter 50 Fathoms right now, there are very limited options. And now this is one of them. Technically not a 50 Fathoms, I know, please don't yell at me, but this is a 50 Fathoms case. It is molded after the exact same case, and it looks a lot like a 50 Fathoms. That's what it's meant to do. This does get a rotating bezel with a 60-click bezel, and the insert here is made from recycled glass. So what they have done here is they've used recycled glass and put an anti-scratch, anti-reflective coating on that bezel. So the insert here is glass. It makes the watch a little bit heavier than, of course, again, that moon swatch. And the glass on this watch, on the crystal itself, that is made out of the exact same material, and it has the exact same treatment. So you're getting anti-reflective coating and anti-scratch coating as well. I would imagine this is sort of a mineral crystal with a sapphire coating. I have seen these before. They're not incredibly expensive, and they don't last very long. They sort of act like a hardened mineral crystal, but maybe not as good. The two versions that I got are the blue and white, the Atlantic and the Antarctic. And I have to say the dials here are very well executed. That bezel is loomed and it is fully loomed. And I have to say the loom on the bezel, the indices and hands actually are stand out. They really are very, very good, especially considering what you got on the moon swatch. This is excellent. They put a good amount of lume on these, and I believe it is Swiss Super Luminova. I think it's grade A as well, so that is actually pretty impressive. The dials here, there are a few different versions. Some of them are fume. There are different little details on them. The Antarctic, which I have to show you today, has a moisture indicator down at the 6 o'clock. I don't believe that is actually functioning. It is a slight fume dial and is dateless. This also does not get numerals on the dial, so very similar to vintage 50 Fathoms. However, the Atlantic, the blue version, is modeled after more modern 50 Fathoms, so you're getting that 12, 6, 9, and 3. You also get the date at the 4 and 5 o'clock position. Not many people will like that. The indices here are actually applied, which is pretty insane. So you're getting applied indices, and those are very liberally applied with lume. The hands, very similar to what you get on a modern 50 Fathoms, and of course, those are also applied with lume. The second hand is even applied with lume. That is also pretty impressive. The logos here, you have the Blancpain logo on that blue version. It is the modern logo, which looks very good. Below that, of course, it says Swatch. And then all the way at the bottom of the dial, it says Scuba, 50 Fathoms, and then 91 meters. The white version, or Antarctic, says Blancpain with the vintage Blancpain logo, which looks awesome. And then right below that, it says 50 Fathoms. Bezel Action on here is not obviously the best. This is a plastic watch, therefore it's not going to have the best bezel action that you've ever heard. And I say it's plastic, it is 3/4 ceramic and 1/4 castor oil, or basically plastic. So that means it is ceramic technically, but it feels like plastic, and it weighs more similarly to plastic than I would say ceramic. However, this does have pretty decent bezel action, and I will insert an audio clip here so you guys could hear what I'm talking about. Last but not least, and this is a pretty long list of good here for this watch, and that's why I am erring on the positive side in this review, and this is just my personal feelings, is of course the SISTEM 51. You're getting an automatic movement in this watch. Yes, the SISTEM 51 is not the best movement on earth, but you are getting 90 hours of power reserve with this watch. So you could put this down on a Friday, pick it up on a Monday, and it will still be ticking along, telling you the correct time. It's not a bad looking movement to look at. They've actually decorated all of these with the oceans that they are inspired by. And then there is a Numi branch on the back, which is basically a sea slug, and that's what's inspired the actual colors of these watches. That's on the rotor. The rotor is clear, and then of course it is also signed. And I'm going to talk about how you can actually buy one of these watches. I went to the Fifth Avenue store here in New York. I met Mike, who's actually the district manager for all of the Swatch stores here in New York, and he was really nice. He was really helpful, and he explained a few things to me. There were some things that I actually noticed. They were coming out and giving everybody online water, which was really actually very nice of them, number one. And number two, they constantly were counting the number of people online. They were doing that because they wanted to make sure they had enough watches for the number of people that were online. And there were about 200 people online. Every single one of those people got a watch. Okay, so now let's talk about the bad. Number one, it's the price. $400, a little too much for this watch. I think this would be a great watch at $300. $400 is a little bit too much for a watch that's made out of technically plastic. However, I do like this watch way better than the Moon Swatch, and I would love to own all 5 of these. So $300 is the price that I think this should be at. $400 is a little bit overkill. It probably should be under $300, but I'm being generous. The next few things on the bad list are more personal. However, I think there is one thing that is sort of ugly, and I will get back to that in just a few seconds. The straps, I'm not a huge fan of the straps, even though they're really nice compared to what you got with the Moon Swatch. There is this bio-ceramic hardware, which obviously is essentially plastic, so it's not incredibly secure. This is a $400 watch with essentially plastic for hardware on the strap. Again, the case is made out of the same material, so it does match. Overall, I don't think the straps are good looking. I don't like the colors that they have chosen. They should have toned it down a little bit. Instead, they sort of dialed it up, and I don't think they actually match the themes of the watches, in my opinion. But that is really my personal opinion. Another personal opinion is I don't like the case back. I like the see-through case back. I think that what they did with the actual movement itself is a little too wild. There's a little too much going on. If you look at it, you might get confused. There's a lot going on. It's very, very busy. They printed on the entire movement, which they do with System 51s, but there is a way of doing it a little bit more elegant, and unfortunately they didn't go that route. It's a little bit wild on the back of these watches, and that's a shame. And last, I'm gonna talk about what I think is ugly on this watch. Really, there is only one thing that stands out to me as ugly, something that I really don't like about this watch, besides the price, and that is the side of the watch. It actually says Swatch on the side of the watch. This is something that I hate that Blancpain do. They put their name on the side of all of their modern 50 Fathoms. I don't know why they would do it with the Swatch. I like that it's in 42 millimeters. I do not like the Swatch name on the side. It sort of cheapens a watch that's already kind of borderline looking cheap. So I do think it's a very big mistake, and I wish they didn't do it. And the last subject that I want to talk about in this video is the fact that I believe that this is not a cash grab. There are plenty of Instagram posts out there and videos, lots of people coming out to me on Instagram in my videos everywhere that I am talking about this watch and telling me that this is a cash grab. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, last I checked, I am in charge of my own cash. I went out and bought these watches because I want to feature them here on my channel, but not only that, I'm actually interested in them. The only way that this is a cash grab from Swatch or Blancpain is if they are actually making you spend your own money on these watches. You are in charge of your money, so there is no way that they can grab your cash without your permission. So technically, I would not call this a cash grab. If you like these watches, go buy them. If you do not, then don't. Keep your money in your pocket and save for 50 Fathoms. They're great watches. You won't be able to get one in 42 millimeters that easily. And of course, vintage versions are extremely expensive because they are pretty collectible. So this is a really great version of a 50 Fathoms that's fun, that's playful. All the reasons why I liked the Moon Swatch. It's not something too serious. Is it an everyday watch? No. It's not going to stand the test of time. This is not a watch that you could wear every single day. However, this is way more of an everyday watch when compared to something like the Moon Swatch. This will last you years if you wear it every day, while that Moon Swatch probably would not. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I'm going to be doing other videos. I'll do some in-depth videos with these watches as well. And of course, I'll do a long-term report with these watches. I'll be wearing them over the next few weeks. So let's see how they hold up. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It's super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.